I'm really excited to take a deep dive with you on the specifics of food allergy in infants and toddlers. But the first challenge is just getting the terminology right. The semantics can be awfully confusing. So let's set the record straight on what exactly a food allergy is. A food allergy is an immune system overreaction to food protein. So your immune system recognizes the three-dimensional shape of a specific food protein, think peanut protein. And once it recognizes that shape, it overreacts by releasing chemicals into your body. And it's these chemicals, not the food itself, that leads to you feeling sick. And your body can feel sick in one or more of four major areas. Number one would be the cardiovascular system. Think shock, so your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes down, often a medical emergency. Number two would be the gastrointestinal system. Think abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, mucus, or blood in the stool. Number three would be rashes on your skin, like eczema or hives. And number four would be your respiratory system, cough, shortness of breath, wheezing. So now that we understand the basic concept around a food allergy, let's break this down into two major subcategories. The first major subcategory is IgE-mediated food allergy. And IgE is an antibody. All you need to understand is that antibodies are part of the machinery of your immune system that recognizes proteins, like food proteins. And an IgE-mediated reaction, the most common example is the classic food allergy that you might have seen before. So your tongue tingles or swells up, you might get hives, you might go into shock, you might have some gastrointestinal symptoms. These are often medical emergencies. They happen relatively quickly, so the onset time is typically a few minutes to up to 2 hours from exposure. And so often people figure out what they're allergic to because they have real-time feedback. It happens right after they tried something new. One common way to diagnose this food allergy is through skin prick testing, where an allergist pricks the protein underneath your skin and waits to see if you have a reaction. IgE-mediated allergies often do show up on skin prick tests. So the second major subcategory of food allergies are non-IgE-mediated food allergies. And as you might imagine, this is a food allergy that does not involve the IgE antibody. The classic example is infant milk protein allergy, which usually causes mucus, blood in the stool, and eczema. Non-IgE-mediated reactions are typically delayed in onset, so you typically don't see any reactions at least within a few hours, but potentially up to a few days after exposure. And it often requires repeated exposures before you actually see something clinically. So as you can imagine, it's much harder to make this diagnosis because you're not getting real-time feedback when your child is ingesting that food. So it's really tricky for families. And to make matters worse, non-IgE-mediated allergies do not show up on skin prick testing. The skin prick test really relies on there being an IgE antibody response. Non-IgE-mediated allergies are typically not life-threatening, and the most common way to make the diagnosis is to actually do the work of removing foods and seeing what happens, which can be very challenging for families. So now that we understand the basic concept of a food allergy and the two major subcategories of food allergy, I'd like to contrast food allergy with an intolerance. And an intolerance is a really terrible term. It doesn't actually refer to any specific disease process. So it really is not best used when referring to an allergy. An example of intolerance would be lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance is when your body cannot digest the sugar found in mammal milk, like cow milk. This does not involve the protein in milk, and it does not even involve your immune system. It involves your inability to digest the sugar. So as you can see, an intolerance is not the same thing as an allergy. So in summary, a food allergy is an immune system overreaction to food protein. The immune system releases chemicals into your body that make you sick. We have two major subcategories, the IgE and the non-IgE mediated food allergy. Thank you so much for watching. And please leave me a comment on my YouTube page or on my Instagram account with comments on how you feel about this video and what you'd like to see in future videos. Thanks again.